Hey, welcome to another episode. I'm Brian Roisentul, your host, and today I'm going to interview Michelle Eichner. She's the CEO of DTC, a solution that helps e-commerce brands convert more intent buyers. With a decade of retail experience and 2 decades of B2B SaaS software solutions experience, Michelle brings a unique and comprehensive understanding of the needs of e-commerce brands. Before talking to her, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. I mean, we get it. Acquisition costs are going up. There's lack of tracking, and we're going to discuss that in a sec. Attribution is driving you nuts, and we are also going to discuss that in a sec. And audience sizes are getting smaller after the iOS 14 update. If that wasn't enough, there are other factors such as the recession and supply chain issues, making it harder than ever to grow your e-commerce brand. That's why we need to understand that it's really important to level up the marketing and design a solid strategy, as what used to work doesn't anymore. Here at BSR Digital, we have been helping countless e-commerce brands that wanted to scale their business to the next level through paid ads and email marketing for over a decade. So if you want to learn more about us, you can visit bsrdigital.com, and you can also email us at hello@bsrdigital.com. Now, as promised, I have Michelle here with me. Hey, Michelle, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for letting me join, Brian.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So I know it's going to be a fun conversation. I know for sure it's going to be a different conversation. It's something that we have never discussed on the show, and I think is super relevant for every e-commerce store owner or marketing director listening. So I'm really excited about it.
Good. Likewise.
Awesome. So why don't you start introducing yourself and telling the audience more about your story?
Yeah, no problem. So as Brian kind of mentioned, I've got a decade of commerce, a couple decades of B2B software. And I really combine those two to think through how do marketers and frankly merchandisers solve some really interesting problems. I'll say Digital is a company, as Brian mentioned, we help e-commerce brands make their product catalog smarter. What does it actually mean? We use AI to auto-generate product catalog data from an image. We actually use computer vision to generate interesting attributes about all of your products so that when people search on your website, they can find something. If they're using the word ripped jeans, whether they use distressed or vintage, we provide these attributes so that the back-end search is really valuable and customers and intent buyers can find exactly what they're looking for. Now, having said that, we've also looked for other really interesting ways to help, marketers. Originally, Digital started out as something kind of different, and that's where it evolved over time into what we are today. So I want to take a minute to share, because I think there's lots of entrepreneurs out there that start businesses that don't always end up where they might have started. And so I thought it might be fun to talk a little bit about just that and the woes I think entrepreneurs and founders have about starting businesses. And so I was the VP of marketing for a tech company in New York, where we had it was a B2B company where we had 10 people on my marketing team, and we had probably a host of 30 or 40 inside sales guys. And the marketing team was creating content for everybody in the company to use, and then obviously for external marketing. And it was really hard to find assets for the team. And you'd have a salesperson that says, hey, I'm looking for this case study, or I'm looking for a particular data sheet, or I'm looking for something for my client's presentation, always bothering our team. And I was like, God, is there an interesting way to help everybody find documents, assets? And it really started from that perspective, where we wanted to make it very simple, because we were using Google Drive at the time. Slack was in its infancy. Part of the team was on Dropbox. We had Salesforce. We had Toutapp. Everybody's using all sorts of technology. And we wanted a very simple way for people to be able to search across all of these solutions and not care where it lived, but just look for a particular piece, an asset, a digital asset they were looking for. And so Digital's origin, if you will, started out with a concept of cross-platform search. So we got very good at search, and we got very good at doing image recognition in order to identify assets. So if you created an Adobe file, or if it was a document, we needed to be able to help you find that document very simple. And so what we found over time is the marketers on the commerce teams needed to organize and categorize their product images for social and email. And that was kind of the first step from going to a cross-platform search engine to really helping e-commerce marketers identify assets that they needed to use for email and social.
That's super interesting. I mean, I remember talking about this the first time I met you, and my mind was blown away because everything that you do in your company for e-commerce brands, and now there's something we have been discussing throughout the episodes in 2022 and earlier this year as well, which is the need for e-commerce brands to level up their marketing, the need for e-commerce brand to optimize after the click. Acquisition costs are getting higher. And once people come through the door and visit your website, if they don't see anything relevant, they're going to leave. And you need to optimize that experience. And that requires a lot of things. But what you guys do, I would love for you to if you want, do a quick example on how it works, because you mentioned it, but I feel that the audience will really appreciate like a breakdown on how it works with an example. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. So I can think of a couple, and if it's interesting, I can even show something very quickly as well. So an example would be, take this shirt I'm wearing. It's a sweater. It's cold. So when we take your product images, we actually have the computer vision go through and identify attributes about this product. So first, it has like a mock turtleneck, right? So it'd be described as a mock. It's green. It has texture. We would describe the texture. It's long sleeves. We would describe, is it 3/4, half long? Lots of different things about the makeup of this product gets identified through our computer vision. And then that data is what enriches a couple different things. One, they're just tags on the back end. Sometimes people call them attributes to help your search engine, as the example I gave you, Brian, with ripped jeans versus vintage jeans versus distress. How we all use natural language to describe products is different. And when, marketers go out and spend big dollars on advertising to get, customers to come to that site, if they don't convert, right, what happens to ROAS? We're talking about inefficient and ineffective marketing. And it's not necessarily that the marketing's poor, right? The marketers got you to the site. The problem is that the search engine, right, if I had something specific in mind that I want to look for, wasn't, capable of finding it. And 94% of consumers, when they have a bad search experience, they abandon. And so that's a lot of wasted marketing dollars. And so from a marketing perspective and the merchandising perspective, although they have different reasons why they want their product data enriched, they actually both help each other hand in hand, because if I have a better campaign, I have a campaign that drives a lot of eyeballs to my site, I certainly hope they can find what they're looking for. And it's in the best interest of the merchandiser to have this data enriched, because they're going to have greater sell-through on their product and their product categories. And so from that, there's a lot of value for both merchandising and marketing teams to be able to have enriched data. And then something else that we do from these attributes is we actually can help the retailer write product descriptions. We can help them write SEO descriptions and SEO titles. And so a lot of that work is done manually. And if you can do this at scale, and it comes out very well, you can eliminate a lot of manual work as well. But that's how the product that we offer helps both the marketing and the merchandising team capitalize and really hopefully hone in on those KPIs that everybody's measured by.
Yeah, that's great. And what are some of the use case scenarios? So, for example, if I go to a website and I search, what would be the benefit of counting with these attributes, let's say?
Yeah, so let me give a couple of examples. So we work with a bicycle company, and the bicycle company, I was actually looking for my daughter on this client site. My daughter wanted a yellow bicycle. So just naturally, I knew what I wanted, right? I didn't want to go through the whole navigation and start looking. So I just went to the search and I typed in yellow bike. I got back actually no search results. So it's a client. I went digging. I went through the navigation, And literally within a matter of probably 3 clicks, there was a yellow bike. They clearly sell yellow bikes, but they would have lost me had I not been, I'll say, highly interested in trying to find something on their site rather than abandoning going somewhere else. So that's an example. And it's shocking on how often I think consumers struggle to find products on retailers' websites. And sometimes it's very innocent, normal, natural things. Is like, I describe things differently, Brian, than you, right? You're going to look for a backpack versus, in a different way and how you might describe that backpack versus how I might describe that backpack. And so you have to have all the synonyms and antonyms to, ignore and play with those words so that they're in a position to be able to capture all of us.
Your AI takes care of that, I imagine, right? So it will get all the synonyms and everything, so we can find that yellow bike.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Okay, and what else, if there's anything else that, that's interesting already, right? I don't want to say this, I don't want to be wrong about this, but I believe there was a report saying that people searching for a product on an e-commerce store are 2 to 3x more likely to buy or something like that, right?
Yes, you're correct. It's actually higher. They're 5 to 10 times more likely to buy. It's because they find it and it's what they're looking for, right? I have intent, I'm in the moment and I'm like, I'm trying to find that yellow bike. If I can't, I'm highly likely to leave and go somewhere else and search for that, for what it is I'm trying to buy.
Yeah. And I believe you should be able to see if you're listening or watching and have an e-commerce brand, you can actually look for those terms without results, the search terms without results, right? I don't remember if my team knows if in Shopify or analytics, but either way, you can.
Absolutely. So in almost all e-commerce backend, I happen to know the Shopify reports by heart, because we work with so many Shopify clients, but there is a search result report in Shopify, and there's a search report with no matches.
No match, yeah.
And so, if you're a small company and want to just start looking at those reports are valuable for a couple of things. One, it starts to give you insight. What are your shoppers looking for on your website that are matching things, and what are they matching? And so it's good to just validate that they're matching things that make sense, because it's possible you could drive more sales if you can improve that match rate. And then obviously the no match. Now the no match is interesting. So put your marketing and your merchandising hat on. No matches can be used for did you have product that actually didn't match? So you can tighten that up. Do you have, do your customers come to you for something that you don't actually fulfill that frankly maybe makes sense for you because they're thinking of you to actually have that type of product? Well, maybe that's worth going to source. And so these reports give you enough data. And if you run 12 months worth of data on these reports, you can get a good amount of information on maybe there's new merchandising that you can bring into your store that people think of you for, but that you're not able to fill because you don't currently have that offering.
Yeah, that's something great. And also you can offer them, I don't know, related products. Probably the yellow bike is not in stock, but the black is. I don't know, I'm just making it up, right? So you can offer them related items depending on your business model, right? That can be a good fit for being on the search result, right?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So I think another reason the attributes on the back end help is both from product recommendations or similar recommendations, is basically what you just said. And then, certainly if you have an out of stock, you're going to want to show something. Now, it's not going to close and convert every time, but even if you save 10%, everybody would love to have an additional 10% in their top line revenue.
Yeah, and as we said before, you're already paying somehow for those visitors. And if they are actually interested because if they are searching for something, if they are actually, it means that probably they are kind of interested in, or they know what they want, as you said before with the example, right? So they know what they want. If they don't find it, they will go somewhere else. So even if you don't have what they want, you can show them related or recommended products that might be of their interest, so you can capture that sale and increase 10% of another percentage off.
You know,
revenue, that'd be great.
absolutely. I'd love to chat a little bit about AI and sort of some of the things that are interesting tips and tricks that the audience can take advantage of. So one of the things that we've been recently been focused on is, sure, everybody here understands that the more imagery that you show on that product, I think the statistic is something like 5 or more images per, product, if you will, does a better job of closing and converting. And frankly, the same goes for product data. The more product data you have, the richer the information, the quality and the quantity of that converts higher. So some of the things that we've been doing with our computer vision is helping our clients increase the number of images per product that they show. So a lot of times retailers come to the table with a photo stock supplied by the manufacturer of one image. And so they don't have a lot of images because that's all, and they can't afford to do a photo shoot, right? Because photo shoots are expensive. So we've been using actually image recognition to recreate images of a product that are at different angles. And so some of the new things that we've been using, for those that are familiar with it, but is DALLE, right? DALLE is now an AI, image recognition, very sophisticated piece of software. And so if you have, in fact, we've been doing this, but if I have just one shot of this particular, sweater, we're now creating multiple shots of this so that we can increase the number of images in order to increase the number of conversions on that page. How's that for interesting new tech?
Oh, that's awesome. That's OpenAI's solution, right, DALLE?
It is. It is.
I've been playing around with it only like trying to enter some prompts, it's it's awesome. I've been playing around with ChatGPT.
Yep.
And that's crazy already. And we have been reading a lot of interesting stuff on LinkedIn and in different places about, applications for, generating Facebook ad copies, offers, or email sequences. And of course, I think it's great to get off the blank page, but it can actually be really sophisticated if you iterate and ask again and refine. What are your thoughts on the latest developments in the AI field, by the way?
Yeah, so we're using it in our software in several ways. And then I'll say I'm using it as well for the business in a couple different ways. So I'll share how I'm using it. It'll be interesting to see how you've been using it. So the business itself, we use aspects of OpenAI and ChatGPT to create taxonomies. And so, you're not all in the same industry. Some are in apparel, some are in home and decor, some are in beauty, health, supplements, whatever that may be. And so each has a unique set of attributes for your products. And we've used the AI to help expand our attributes, our taxonomies, if you will. And then we feed that to our image recognition, computer vision. And so it's been a very interesting process, but we've been building that for over a year, and it's not something you can build overnight. That being said, there are things that we can all use OpenAI, ChatGPT, DALLE for quickly and easily. And I'll share some of the things that we're doing from a business perspective that have been helpful. And interestingly enough, I produced a blog where the hero image, if you will, I just fed it the title of the blog and it spit out an image that mirrored pretty much the title of the blog. So that was kind of nice. I didn't have to go searching for something in, Shutterstock or any of the applications we use to get stock photo. And then I've used it for ideation on blogs. And so what I find is it's a bit redundant. You have to kind of work through how to prompt, ChatGPT in order to really hone what you're looking for. So I use it a lot for ideation because it oftentimes will rephrase something that I didn't think about. And so when I write blogs or I write copy, emails, all sorts of stuff, I will actually throw it into ChatGPT and just literally start my prompt with reframe the following sentence or write an email for my client on this topic. And it's been wonderful for helping me to save time because it gives me ideas and I can whip them up a lot faster. How are you using them, Brian?
Oh, I'm using it in many ways. I think as we all are, we are like learning because I don't know if it's in the early stages, but I think it's been around for a few years, but I don't know if it's been public for that long, right? So we are all kind of, or at least me, learning. So for instance, we are using it for getting off the blank page for ad copy ideas, for identifying pain points for certain avatars. So there are ways of using it that are kind of crazy, at least for me to believe, even in this century, in this year. So for example, we can tell ChatGPT to act as a copywriter or as a particular copywriter that we love, or we can tell them to act as an owner or marketing director of a fashion brand, and based on that, tell us what they're struggling with in 2023. And of course, it's going to take information from the internet and give us like the top three things they're struggling with or whatever. And we can iterate on them and create content. As you said, email sequences, content for LinkedIn or whatever. We can even give them structures, how to X without Y, or how to whatever, three things to blah, and give them the structure so it can actually give you an answer with that same structure. So we are having fun. We are trying to find a way to actually add that to our SOPs, because it's not something formal. We are just playing around for now, but it's super cool to see what it can do and how it can change your job for good, save you time. It's not going to replace us. It's going to replace many of the tasks that we do nowadays. I'm a firm believer in that, and it's fine. Well, in the advertising world, many of the things that we do nowadays are automated biddings or bidding strategies. Many of the things we do are automated, and there are products or solutions like yours that help us be a better version of ourselves, better professionals, better business owners, and get better results. So I think that in this case, it's an extra layer that everyone should leverage. It's not a replacement of anyone.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone should understand. So it I think became public first in early November. And then for everyone should know that it's only good up to 2021. So depending on what you're using it for, the databases or the model's only been trained. It's a neural network and it's only been trained up to 2021. So if you're asking it for kind of current event, if you will, and current pain points, you just need to be a little bit careful on the fact that it is sort of not trained up until recent moments. There is a V2 coming out. I don't know. I don't think we've heard yet when that V2 is and what that V2 will look like and if they'll expand the learning up till more current. But I think it's got an opportunity to really help, to your point, sort of revolutionize how we work. And it's a matter of everybody thinking through, how can this help me in my day-to-day job? But to your point, it's not going to replace a bunch of us. When I write blogs and think through, it really lacks, besides the obvious of sort of lacking persona, like personality a little bit, sometimes it sounds robotic, but it lacks nuance as far as a subject matter expert. So it's great for idea generation, but depending on how granular they're trying to go, it's great for listicles and all sorts of stuff, but you just need to know if someone who is another subject matter expert were to read something that you put, that you generated out of ChatGPT, they may question it because it doesn't have that level of nuance that a subject matter expert would have.
For sure. No, I guess it's great for getting off the blank page and iterating and brainstorming some ideas. But again, if you're going to copy paste whatever output it gives you, it's not the way we should do things. It's not to create laziness. It's to actually get off that blank page and be more creative and have, let's say, someone else between quotes to brainstorm with, and that's probably what I think. It has many features. One, it could be like a search engine. So for instance, well, I think Google is doing their own thing, non-public, at least to the date of this recording, but I think that when we Google something, we get links as a result, and we need to go into we all know how it works, right? To find the answer. If we find it, now we can ask. And we, by the way, need to learn how to ask questions. It's something we as humans in general don't know how to do well. We know how to, hey, how are you? But when we actually want to get a certain output or outcome, we are finding out that we need to be better at asking what we really want and not be superficial, right? So that's one thing. You can get faster the information. I don't know. Give me the last 10 events related to whatever. Give me this year's holidays. Give me whatever. That would be plain search, right? We can get faster results here. I haven't done that too much to claim that it's going to work better or as well as Google, but if it works well, it's 10x or 1000x faster. I don't know. But then it has another capabilities, which is the chat, the brainstorming. You can actually train the AI to do whatever you want. I mean, to talk as you can say, hey, these are like my manners or the way I talk. I tend to to say these things or to talk like this, and please replicate the way I speak for writing these, whatever, right?
So
That
I have, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I have two kind of interesting, fun examples that one in particular is very relatable. So SEO, titles and descriptions, right? A good example of it not being a subject matter expert is you can ask it to write an SEO title and a description. But I think it lacks the knowledge, as an example, that the keyword should go in the front of your, say, sentence, right? And so we've been playing with it, and that's sort of a known for those that write, SEO titles and descriptions, right? Is you want that keyword as close to the front, if not first, right? And so like, that's a really good example of it gives good, it wrote great copy, but it doesn't know the rule, right? Which is why they need you, Brian, right? It doesn't know the rules on like, what's the best ad? Because you guys have written ads for so many years, I'll say placement and length and all of those components that ChatGPT doesn't. So I wanted to share that because I think it's relevant to kind of, this audience as far as on the marketing front of things you just need to be aware of about it, right?
I think over time, though, we can never know until it happens, but I think it will. It will be able to. I mean, I don't know what was the latest size of the data set, but I think it's exponentially growing as I mean, in every version of ChatGPT. So I don't remember the exact figure now, but it's going to learn. I mean, I was listening to Alex Hormozy a few weeks ago, and he was saying something interesting, which is, imagine the best salesperson in your team. Probably they have been trained, I don't know, with hundreds of sales calls, dozens of courses, whatever, in years. Imagine this AI as acting as a salesperson, consuming hundreds of thousands of trainings, hundreds of thousands of hours of transcripts or audio files in the future, probably of calls of those successful and those who are not successful, and blah, blah, blah. How do you beat that? And the question is, should we expect to beat that? Or are we kind of naive if we think that not right now, but in a few years, that is not going to be a reality? I don't know, right? But it's interesting to think about it.
It is one. Let me give my second example because it's kind of funny. So the Mega Millions was out, whatever, when it would hit the 1 point, I don't know, 3, 5, 6 billion, whatever it was. So I decided to use ChatGPT to give me all of the most commonly selected, to say it that way, lottery numbers since it, by the way, 1992, because it has a database and it knows exactly all the lotteries. So that was kind of, and then I started to narrow my questions. I said, okay, what are the most common, frequently of those, because it gave me a set of whatever, 5 or 6 numbers. I said, of those, which ones are most likely to be drawn together? And it gave me, right, the next set. And I kept asking kind of more finite types of questions. So with that knowledge, by the way, I played 4, I guess, lines, if you will, of $2 a piece on the last mega. I hit 2 on one single line using the ChatGPT's data as I worked my way down. Now, I don't know, anyways, I thought that was kind of fun. I wanted to share it because it's like it just triggered. I've been playing with ChatGPT for, since it came out, and the mega came out, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can use it to help me narrow down the Powerball or mega ball numbers. How's that for a thought?
That's great. I mean, there are definitely many ways of using it. I keep seeing, like, every single day, I would say, on LinkedIn, awesome people sharing great examples on how to use it for different things. It could be writing a year of content. I don't know. Again, you should that content and make it your own, right? But how to create copy for, or how to create engaging posts for LinkedIn, how to create copy for Facebook, how to create Facebook ad strategies. Companies are even writing code.
Yeah.
Like the other day, or a few weeks ago, I actually read found an e-commerce founder. He was writing about the fact that they needed to do something back then for Black Friday. There was a promo that was expiring, and there was a condition that they needed to actually code, and they asked ChatGPT to do it, and they saved a lot of hundreds of dollars in developers. So that's another thing. It's like, what's for advertising, to write a piece of code for the Facebook pixel as well, for an event that you want to create and install it on your website. So I think it's the sky's the limit, and we are all feeding it every single minute with new ideas and new things to play with. And yeah, I'm super excited about it.
For those e-commerce companies that use Shopify, for example, I haven't tried this. I'm just throwing it out as an idea for anybody who's ambitious to try this. But I often see, I'll say, small e-commerce shops asking questions about Liquid as far as how to write code with Shopify's Liquid framework. And I wonder if you asked ChatGPT if it can write actual code in Shopify's proprietary Liquid code, and test if it works on your whatever it is you wanted for, some CTA or whatever you wanted to implement.
I didn't test it, but I did test asking to write JavaScript and Facebook Pixel, but that would be interesting. I mean, I think it's a matter of training the model. I don't know if it's trained on that, but it'll be interesting. But this been really interesting. I really enjoyed the conversation. And when before wrapping up the interview, I always like to ask the guests for I don't know, any books or mentors or just people you follow and admire, to give them a shout out. Do you have anyone to mention?
So there's one in particular that I follow because he's very interesting. He's the 5th employee at HubSpot, and his name is Dan Tyre. It's Tyre. He produces and puts out a lot of interesting sales and marketing oriented information blogs. Certainly HubSpot is filled with all sorts of stuff. But Dan is someone in particular I follow, and he's been a mentor as well, because he's got a wealth of marketing knowledge, and he's worked in one of the most successful companies out there that has done it for the last probably 25, 30 years. So he's one that I can recommend for those that are looking for interesting marketing tips, is to follow Dan.
Awesome. So we will include his name in the show notes for everyone listening or watching. If you are not there already, you should head over to fitgrowthmachine.com, find the episode, and once you are there, if you scroll down, you will see the show notes, including the information that I'm going to ask you in a sec, and this person's information as well. For people interested in getting in touch with you or learning more about your company, where they can go.
Yeah, so feel free to email me directly. So it's M and then my last name, Eichner, at digitile.io. Happy to entertain any questions you have and chat. And certainly if you're interested in our AI computer vision, love to chat about you for that as well.
Awesome. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for being here, Michelle.
Hey, thanks, Brian. It was great. Enjoy, everyone.